Have you ever pointed out an inconsistency in your knitting while you were still working on it and had another knitter say, oh, that'll block right out? It's a pretty common refrain. And while blocking doesn't solve every mistake or inconsistency, it can really smooth out your knit stitches and create a nice, soft and supple fabric. I love blocking and I block pretty much all of my knits, but it's especially important for lace and stranded color work. We'll probably get into blocking a lace shawl at some point in the future, but today, since I've just finished my stranded colorwork sweater, that's what we're going to be working on. Hi, I'm Pamela from Fibersprite.com, and I help fiber artists understand what they really need to know so they can get down to their real passion, actually working with fiber. My gator sweater is all bound off and the ends are woven in. This is the first time I've tried the whole thing on my body instead of a dress form, and I'm not sure I love the fit, but I'm not too worried because it hasn't been blocked yet. So let's see what happens after blocking. While some people swear by steam blocking, I'm a big fan of washing my knits to block them because this is how I care for my garments throughout their life cycle. So by washing them, I know how that fabric is going to behave. Because my sweaters take me several months or even up to a year or more to knit, they've been kind of exposed to it all. I knit in the car while my husband is driving, and when I get out at a gas station, the yarn falls out on dirty pavement. I am not at all embarrassed to admit that this scenario happens way too often. So my sweaters can definitely use a bath. The first step is to fill a sink or plastic tub with lukewarm water and a little bit of wool water. I'm really partial to the scent of Eukalon's lavender scent, but Soak and Unicorn's fiber wash are also great. Links to all of these products are below. I like to let the garment sit for at least 20 minutes so it has the chance to get really nice and wet. Be sure to be gentle, especially if you're working with non-superwash wool. You don't want to end up felting your project. Rinse if your wool wash calls for it, and drain as much water out as you can. Depending on how dirty my sweater actually is, I might rinse it a few times. Usually at the blocking stage, it doesn't need too much because it's not as dirty as if I'd been wearing it, but you'll just be able to tell by how dirty the water is. Squeeze gently to get excess water out. Wool can absorb a lot of water and gets really heavy at this stage, so be sure to support your garment to keep it from stretching out too much. I used to have a spin dryer, which was awesome, and I'll link to one below, but another way to get rid of extra water is to roll it up in some towels and walk over them. You still want to be really gentle, but this will get out some of that water that you couldn't get out with your hands. Once the sweater is damp but not dripping, lay it out on a dry towel and shape it. If you're working from a pattern that has a schematic, you can use a tape measure to make sure that you're not stretching things out too much, and you can even pat your wet sweater into exactly the measurements that suit you. For this sweater, I'm eyeballing it and making sure that everything is nice and smooth. Now comes the hard part, waiting for it to dry. Because I live in a humid climate, I set my sweater on a drying rack and set a fan on it to dry. After a day or two, it was fully dry, and now we're ready to try it on. Okay, so after blocking, the fabric it's a lot softer. The stitches have settled into shape, so you're not seeing some of the inconsistencies in the knitting. It's all nice and flat, as opposed to sort of buckled where that color work was. So that's really nice. And if we'll remember at the beginning of the video, it really didn't fit me that well across the shoulders. So let's see how it does now. When you're trying on your sweater for the first time, be sure to have whatever undergarments you would normally wear on with it. So I normally will wear at least one shirt under all of my sweaters just to protect the armpits, and the body. That way I can get several wears out of it. But wearing the clothes that you're going to wear underneath the sweater is going to give you the best idea of fit. Okay, so it feels good. It feels a lot better in the shoulder, so that's nice. There is like a little bit of a funny buckle in the shoulder, which is how I made it. So that's an error in the making and not in the blocking. But overall, it feels pretty good. And that's blocking. If you have any other questions about the process of knitting this sweater from stash, from handspun fiber, mixing different colors, things like that, let me know in the comments below. I'm getting ready to start setting up my next video series. I might switch back to weaving for a little while, but if you have anything that you want to see, definitely let me know in the comments below so I can start working on that for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.